people are talking about their positions, asking for support, and I'm frankly looking at what they have to offer.
Yeah, I'm very excited about the opportunities and the caliber of the candidates that are coming forward. I'm very excited about next steps.
I'm working separately, sometimes somewhat discreetly, with every candidate to make sure that they are ready when they show their platform. They're ready to demonstrate that the Quebec contribution to our country is clearly seen.
Some neutral Liberal caucus members there on what they're looking for in the next leader. 7 contenders have thrown their hats into the ring to replace Justin Trudeau. Of those, Mark Carney has a wide lead with 48 endorsements from Liberal caucus members. Chrystia Freeland has 26 MPs backing her, and Karina Gould has 2 endorsements. So how much sway could endorsements have in the race? Joining me now for our panel of Liberal insiders is Jonathan Kalis, a former Quebec advisor to Trudeau. And here with me in studio, Vandana Cutter is a former advisor to Prime Minister Trudeau, as well as Laura D'Angelo. Hey guys, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Nice to see you all. Vandana, let me start with you on this one, on the endorsements thing, which is like, I feel like every time I open my inbox, there's a new email coming in, right, with like a different Liberal MP endorsing Mark Carney. Like there's like a stampede of people, and obviously they've timed it well because they purposely want to kind of drip it out and make it look like he has some momentum. But what do you make of him taking a pretty sizable lead in terms of the number of MPs that are lining up behind his candidacy?
Well, it tells me the strength of his campaign, and I think it also shows me that he's been doing the work. I don't think this type of endorsements can come in a short amount of time. It tells me he has been trying to work the phones, call people, connect with people. I know there's been reporting of him seeing with different MPs here in Ottawa, so that all helps to gain trust and authenticity. But it shows that I think a lot of the caucus memberships are looking for that change, or someone who can look like a strong economic steward, someone who feels like they think can be the best person to bet against, Pierre Poilievre. And the best thing about a short campaign is that with this many caucus announcements, you want to be able to utilize their infrastructure. So a lot of these caucus members already have donors and and people they can rely on to help gain memberships and support. So it shows actually quite the strength I'm seeing.
Yeah, Laura, what do you make? I mean, what I'm struck by is that so many cabinet ministers are lining up behind Carney. They've never worked with Carney. They've worked with Chrystia Freeland in some cases for 10 years, right? Does that tell you something about her candidacy, about her potential as a Liberal leadership contender?
It's really interesting. It definitely tells you something about how they're feeling about her, certainly. It's also really interesting to me, though, that a lot of these endorsements are coming with very little policy, right? These are big endorsements coming for someone who has not put out a platform and also hasn't put out a platform on the party side either, what he envisions for the future. And I think that's really, really interesting because Carney's campaign has also really been running much more of a general election for a leadership campaign. We're not seeing that from the other 2 frontrunners, from Chrystia and Karina. We're seeing a much more traditional leadership campaign from the 2 of them, really, courting Liberal member votes. And these endorsements, while impressive and fun to watch, and certainly generating a sense of momentum, they don't always translate to votes when you look at the point system, right? We're watching Karina and Chrystia court those votes in different ridings that aren't held.
Yeah, Jonathan, I want to play a clip because Chrystia Freeland was on CBC Radio's The House earlier. The full interview will air tomorrow, but they released a clip early. Let's listen to what Chrystia said about all the endorsements going to Carney right now.
It's central to my campaign to see this is not about Liberal elites deciding, this is about the grassroots. It is certainly looking like Mark is the choice of the Liberal establishment. It is certainly looking like he is the PMO's candidate. And
the PMO's candidate? Can you explain that?
And that is okay with me.
So, Jonathan, what do you make of that framing? She's saying that Carney is the PMO's candidate. What's she talking about there?
She's talking about the fact that she didn't get their endorsements. So if she had gotten their endorsements and she was trying to get them, she was trying to get everyone's. By the way, everyone is trying to get everyone's endorsement. Yeah. If she had been more successful, if more people had come out in support of her, I don't think she would be claiming that the number of endorsements or the number of cabinet ministers who are supporting you is indicative of PMO support or the establishment support. So, you take it with a grain of salt. You also ask the question, why is it that, the majority of those who have committed so far are going more towards Carney and less towards her? I think there are 2 key reasons. One is I think that people are making a calculation, either whether they think Carney will win the leadership, or more importantly, they think he has a better chance of winning an election than she does. I suspect that's part of it. Again, to Laura's point, we haven't heard many policy details. And the other key thing is that, I think that there are members of cabinet and caucus, even those in caucus who were calling for Prime Minister Trudeau to leave, I don't think that many of them are happy with the way she went about leaving, the way she resigned, and the way she's been attacking the Prime Minister since. So I think that she's, in a sense, paying the price for some of the ways she's gone about doing things, and less about herself or her qualities as a potential leader. I think it's more about just the last 6 weeks and how things have gone down.
Vandana, do you think that Jonathan's onto something there? Is it lingering frustration, maybe within caucus, within cabinet in particular, with how she handled her exit?
I think by doing this, members and grassroots members really want someone who's going to run not against Justin Trudeau. They want someone who's going to run against Pierre Poilievre. And I think this is a gross underestimation of how the membership and grassroots feels about Justin Trudeau. Yes, maybe people wanted him to move on, but I still appreciate that he got us from third to first place, that he was a good campaigner, he did some good policies and good for the country. And people don't like infighting and airing dirty laundry. So I actually think that's interesting, is that it's going to pave a way for actually Karina Gould, because I think the negativity is off-putting. And I do think a lot of people look at Karina's positive campaign. I actually think she's getting a lot of young people and grassroots people who are interested in her that could give a good path for her.
She's had a strong launch, really. I mean, she only has 2 caucus endorsements, but, she's a great communicator, really, in both official languages, right? She had a great launch, great media event yesterday, right? She showed she could take questions, she can stand her ground, she has a point of view. But what I still found interesting about her remarks yesterday is that she was kind of disavowing, Laura, so much of what the government has done over the last little while, saying they didn't get it right on the capital gains tax. She thinks the carbon tax increase should be off the table. She was saying they bungled the cost of living crisis and how they handled inflation. She said the party brass have not been responsive to the membership. She has a long list of complaints herself. What do you make of that strategy?
I think all 3 of these candidates are going to be doing that, and I think they have to, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a certain amount of, 1, you have to disavow it, but 2, you also have to show a little bit of authenticity there and some real criticism, right? None of us agree with everything that happens in our workplace, and so I think she's being smart in coming out really quickly and saying that before she can actually be attacked on that by everyone else. To both your point and Vandana's, I think the other thing that Karina's been doing that's really interesting is using alternative media. She's been on podcasts a lot. She's been on a lot of YouTube channels. She's really trying to use that populist playbook that we see coming from so many Conservative candidates right now to capture the minds of Liberals, but also Canadians that are not normally captured by the Liberal Party.
Yeah. Jonathan, you must have seen today, too, that Freeland was out with a press release today calling for 4 debates in this leadership campaign, 2 in English, 2 in French. I guess the party only requires that there be 2, 1 in both official languages. She wants to up the ante a little bit, have 2 more. Why do you think that she's asking for more debates? What's in it for her?
My guess, and I haven't heard this from anybody, but my guess, being the Montreal Quebec person on the panel, is that she thinks that she has the most fluency and comfort in French, and more debates in French are to her advantage. I would agree that she has the most comfort and fluency of those 3 in French, but I think each of them can handle themselves in a debate in French. And Mark Carney just did his first media hit in Quebec this afternoon, visiting a bookstore. He's a little rusty. His vocabulary is there. It still needs a little bit smoothing out, but I think that that's something that's going to come over, an intense period over the next 5-6 weeks, whatever we have left. And so I think that's my gut feeling, is that this is really to put him on the spot more on the French than on the English side.
Vandana, what do you make of 4 debates? I mean, it seems like, is that the right way to go?
No. I think Liberals really want to know who is going to best give us a shot at winning. and best shot against Pierre Poilievre. Debating against, like, none of them are Pierre Poilievre. So debating against each other, I think, is pretty futile. I think you need the English and French debate for sure. I think more what I want to see is who's connecting with Canadians, who can go to, like, barbecues, and, well, it was wintertime, but, like, you know, go to, like, grassroots places, go to church basements, go to the Legion, and connect with people in the best way possible. Who has great a social media strategy? Like, we've been behind on that with the Conservatives. So how do we get ahead of that? Who has the best strategy? I think Laura gave some good ideas that Karina has been doing. So that's what I'm looking for. So I don't want to know who's the smartest. I think they're all collectively really smart. I think they all have good, I'm sure good ideas will come through. But I want to know is, like, who's going to give us the best chance against Pierre Poilievre, and I want to see them with actual Canadians out there. The membership's important, but what about those voters? There's a lot of people who are, many of these people are interested in, but they're not going to sign up to be Liberal members. Yeah. So I want to know how you're going to do with the general population.
Laura, what do you make of the debate ask of Freeland?
4 seems like a lot. 1 in each language makes the most sense. And to Vandana's point and Jonathan's point, the goal here for most Liberals is who is the most electable right now, and who are the Canadians going to vote for? Likely very quickly, right? Likely in May. That is really the answer for Liberals right now.
Jonathan, quick final word to you. I also take it that many debates might give the Conservatives some fodder, right? Like, they're going to have a lot more clips to work with. They're going to have a lot of things to pounce on, too, if they have that much tape to go through.
Yeah, to Vandana's point, I don't know what advantage there is other than fighting amongst yourself, and none of those debaters are going to come off the way Pierre Poilievre did. So it's not exactly like it's debate prep, getting ready for Poilievre. I think ultimately, yes, each of them need a couple debates so that they can get a sense of, you know, it's a different atmosphere, and I think it is good preparation. But I agree, it's how they connect with people. And what I want to see, you know, on a debate stage, you talk in talking points and you rely on those key messaging. What I think Karina Gould has done so far, and what we want to see from the other candidates, is how do they connect with people talking like ordinary Canadians? Karina does that very well. She really comes across as one. That's the thing that the other 2 are going to have to show that they have in their toolbox as well.
Is there a chance she sneaks up the middle here, Jonathan? Like, I mean, it's a ranked ballot, right? Is there any pathway to victory for Karina? I know she's lagging behind on the endorsements. Quickly.
I think that's a long shot, but anything's possible if they're ranked ballots, but I think it's a long shot at this point.
All right, smart thoughts as always from our great Liberal Insiders panel, Jonathan Kalis, Vandana Cutter, and Laura D'Angelo. We'll have you back for sure. Lots to watch for over the coming weeks, and it's really not much long, you know, in terms of how long we've got to get the result on this. March is the date coming. So thank you so much, guys.